Hey guys, I'm Dr. Cherie,
And I'm Eugene Pope.
and welcome back behind the green door. So today's topic is how to follow up post-webinar.
Yeah, it's what do you need to get? And you're on a webinar. A lot of times people aren't giving phone numbers or aren't giving emails, but maybe there's somebody that you see that you want to connect with. So what's the best practice for that?
I mean, I actually prefer to gently suggest to the other attendees, like, hey, let's put our contact info in the chat section. One, then you don't have to feel like you're calling someone out, like, hey Eugene, can I get your contact information? That way, there's a lot less pressure.
Yeah, you don't want to do that during the webinar because there are other people on it, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But a watch out if you want just that person to get your information and you don't want everybody else to see it. If you put it in an open chat, everybody else is going to get your contact information.
Yes, because you also can, if there's like one specific person that you do want to communicate with, and I've done this on occasion as well. So it looks, especially if you're on a Zoom call, if you open up the chat function, it'll be kind of like down towards the bottom. And then when you open it up, it'll say reply to everyone. We'll hit that everyone, and it's a drop-down box. And then it'll say, it'll actually list the attendees. Now, if there's a lot of attendees, it may or may not be feasible, or time effective because there may be a lot to scroll through. But if there's a manageable amount of names, then you can always go through and then privately message them, and then they know you're interested.
Yeah, and also you can contact the host afterwards if there's no real method. If you're on a type of webinar where they don't have a chat room, you can always contact the host afterwards. But make sure you got a valid reason for it. Share the reason why you want to make a connection with this person. Because if you just ask for their information, they may be reluctant to give it to you for privacy issues too.
Well, right, not only that though, but we're all very well acquainted with all the drip campaigns everyone does, and
exactly.
I mean, not to say that there's nothing, not to say that there's anything wrong with those, but we all get a bazillion emails, especially now post-COVID, because that's how we're primarily communicating, or text message or what have you. It's just another piece of noise that we get in our inbox.
Yeah.
I mean, I think an appropriate way to ask a host would be, hey, like if Eugene's hosting, hey Eugene, I really enjoyed connecting with Jane, or I really enjoyed listening to her, and I think I'd really like to connect with her and see if there's a relationship there as far as like a business goes, or I'd love to be a referral partner.
Yeah.
And then if you give a reason, like Eugene said, you give more information, because if you're just reaching out for basic information without any thought process behind it, I mean, it just kind of reads as a little skeezy, and and chances are their name and information is going to end up on an email list somewhere.
And plus, having that conversation with the host, getting the information from them, you may find out that it is a good fit or it is not a good fit. They may have some input that's valuable to you. You may have some input that is valuable to them as well.
And especially if you are better acquainted with the webinar host, you could actually reach out. Like if Eugene and I have known each other a while, so I could say, hey Eugene, there are a bunch of people on your webinar. Are there any attendees off that list that you have that might benefit from a conversation with me, or what have you, whatever you want to communicate, and if you know the host and they value you as a referral partner or business partner, that's a great way as well.
Now, if you're the host of the webinar, and this may be an option for you, if you want to connect people, let people know that up front. How can they get connected with each other?
Yeah.
Give them the process so they know they either reach out to you or they can put it in the chat. But also, if you're the host, and I've seen this happen quite a bit, hey, everybody, put your information in the chat.
Yeah.
Some people may not be comfortable with that, and you may not get everybody put in the chat. So set that expectation up front of what you want to happen as far as getting people connected with each other.
Right. Although I would say though, especially if you're like a little hesitant and you don't necessarily want to bother anybody, and you're kind of more like on a discovery mission, if people are willing to put their info in the chat, that's one way to weed out the people who aren't necessarily going to be as receptive to cold calling, if you will. Yep. So that's because if people are willing to give up their information on the chat, chances are they're open, even if they kindly but gently tell you, no, I'm not interested in your services, I don't know that there's any opportunity for us to be referral partners, that's okay, but they're far more apt to be open and nice about it versus ignore your phone calls, ignore your text messages and your emails. So
now, another thing too, if you're on a webinar where it's inter-company webinar, everybody really knows each other, and you want to bring up a topic, there are some times where you want to take that topic offline. So be sure that you have that contact information, or you get that contact information. Maybe that's something you share in the chat box. but maybe that's where you reach out to the host. But be cognizant of everybody else in there. You may want to speak up and have a conversation with that person right away, but it may not be the place during the webinar.
Right. Not only that, though, but also remember that chat box is if you do happen to put it in everyone, those are things that can be screenshot or shared or saved, archived as well. So you just want to make sure, if there's any particularly sensitive conversations that you may have or sensitive subject matter, you want to make sure that those are in-person conversations. And I know, we've kind of gotten a little bit of immune to it just because we share everything online, we share everything via text message or what have you.
Sure.
But if you're having a one-to-one communication, verbally, like unless, your room is bugged, what goes on between the both of you, there's no written, it's a lot easier to keep it private, so.
And depending on the platform you're on, I don't know about all platforms, but Zoom meeting, it automatically saves all the chats. It automatically archives it into your files. So whatever you put in chat, the host has that. So
So don't badmouth the host,
or anybody else.
Right, because your ears are burning. Think back, for those of you who are like older millennials, MSN Messenger when it first came out, and you're like, oh yeah, blah blah blah, and then like 2 days later you got like an email with that copied and pasted into your email. Yeah.
So to recap, to contact somebody after a webinar is you ask. You can ask in a chat, but again, if you ask in a public chat and everybody gets all that contact information, be aware of that. Some people may not be comfortable sharing that, so always ask. You can do private chats, and you can always reach out to the host to get that contact information.
Yes, and and again, if you are a little more hesitant to do so, reach out to someone who you don't really know very well. The people who do give you the information via the chat, it's probably your safest bet, and then it's a good way to build up your confidence, and then kind of go towards the ones who are maybe a little bit more standoffish or private.
And very importantly, if you agree to connect, follow up, actually get in touch with that person. Don't ask for a connection and not give them a call. You lose credibility when you do that.
Right, and if they do follow up with you, make sure you return their voicemail, their email, their text message within a reasonable amount of time. I mean, we're talking business days, right? So, if you get back to them within 24 hours, it's appropriate. Now, if it's 48, 72 hours, it's not the greatest, but, we all understand, like, these, there's a lot going on in the world right now. Don't take it anywhere past 72 hours. If you go more than 72 hours, it's kind of DOA. And, because, obviously, if you're really interested, and I know everyone has this whole thing like, well, I want to be eager, but I don't want to be too eager. I don't want to be interested, but not too interested. Well, I think we have to lose the high school dating, take on everything, and just, if you want to do business, be upfront. If you want to do business, do business. And if they're not appreciative of your, your candidness and you being upfront about it, then that's probably not the best business partner for you anyhow.
All right. Yeah. Well, hope this information helps.
Yes.
And happy webinaring. Is that a word?
I don't know. We can make it one.
Okay, webinaring.
Yeah, webinaring.
There you go.
But make sure to join us every Thursday behind the green door at 8:30 a.m. All right. Bye, guys.